Hello everyone and welcome back to the vlog. It has been 2 weeks since last time I vlogged. It seems like you guys at least liked what the few of you who watched seemed to like the Ghostbusters review from last week. Next month the first week will be a review for Ghostbusters 2, and I actually have the next review after that, so with so many reviews on the list right now, any video game first impressions stuff is kind of on hold because I don't have... While the list is still there and there's plenty of stuff on the list to try out, it's not like it's as important as some of the other things going on because a lot of the actual movie review stuff is kind of timed at the moment. One of them is actually a request by the actual producer of the movie, and the other two, this last one and this upcoming one, are actually timed because of an obvious event going on. In case you didn't know, I will be reviewing the first two Ghostbusters movies, and then when the week of the new released Ghostbusters comes, myself and the usual crew have already devoted ourselves to going off and seeing that and finding out whether or not this movie is actually a really good movie, or if it's really as bad as the trailers make us think it is, because... so before I move on to other topics here really quick, I got a little bit of inspiration to do this. So, I know for sure this guy didn't get mentioned during my, other, purchases during the couple of weeks last month. But I actually got a new NES game, still in the box. $10, Dragon Spirit. It's essentially one of those top-down shooters where you're... You know how, like, they have the one with the airplane, like, I want to say it's 1942 or something like that, I think it's called. Or like Silver Surfer, but less shit. And with dragons. But yeah, Dragon Spirit looks to be pretty fun. I've played it a little bit, and there's actually a cheat to get better options for your main character actually in the early part of the game, because the first tidbit of the game where you actually do have to play, if you want to, it actually is playing your character's father before the events of the main game. Because apparently no matter what happens, your father dies, and you have to pick up his magic sword and become the new half dragon, half humanoid thing, because you can transform into a dragon and go about trying to save people, in particular trying to save your sister, who was kidnapped by the main villain of the current piece, as we've come to find out that the previous villain was not actually the main guy, just his most active and most powerful minion at the time. Anyway, other than that, I have one other thing I wanted to share. Now, I've used this as a prop in a couple of my videos, in particular my review videos, and I've never really shown anyone what it looks like from the other side, but this big, clunky piece of semi-yellow and grayish plastic, this is a Entex Space Invaders. This comes to us circa 1980, 1981, and yeah, there's some scuffage on the cover. Sadly, that's the way this thing came. I wish there's some way to fix that, at least easily fix that, but I don't know if anyone else knows how to fix something like that. That'd be great. I originally thought it was like some sort of duct tape residue and tried using some rubbing alcohol, but sadly it's done absolutely nothing for it. But because I'm going to be using it as a prop soon, I pulled it out and I suddenly got the itch lately to play some retro stuff, and so I actually put some batteries back in it. I'm trying to play it via viewfinder. I must have gotten the UFO. Yep, there we go. As you can see, working order, still more or less as good as it used to be, but I swear it's a little sluggish than what it used to be, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just remembering wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm too used to modern games, but still works. Still in working order, and I'm actually going to make that part of a joke with the upcoming video that I'm planning for a review. I'm not sure if it's going to be filmed this week. I think I have at least one more. Yeah, I have one more week until that review needs to be made anyways, so if not this week, then for sure next week I'll be filming that and using the little bit joke that I have planned for that. So anyway, other than showing off a little bit of retro stuff, and one of the things I forgot to show you guys about a month back or so, some recent gaming news, and this is kind of some big stuff here. So there's this guy named Mike Kennedy. Most people who have heard of him, and actually know why they've heard of him, would say he's a complete and total fuck-off and an asshole. And to be honest, in recent news, he's completely proven himself to be nothing but that. This is the guy, for those of you who don't know, who made the Caleco Chameleon. And I say made with some very big air quotes on that. The Caleco Chameleon was not really ever a video game system. It was somehow this guy, Mike Kennedy, managed to get the rights from Caleco itself to actually try and put its name on a new system that would allow it to play everything from like the original Caleco all the way up to like the N64. And this was going to be a big retro system for everybody to use to play any of their old cartridge-based stuff. And that's an interesting, cool idea. That's kind of awesome. That's also going to help prolong the lifespan of all these older retro systems. If it wasn't for the fact that there's like a dozen other retro systems out there, and some of these, including the original ColecoVision, have actually been getting new re-releases of them so that the newest generation can actually see what old games used to be like. So he puts this thing up in a fair kind of thing, and it's there for the public to play, even though they can't really get too good of a look at it because it's inside this plastic shell. But what people did get to see was that apparently it was held together by tape, and people began to quickly theorize that it was essentially a bunch of emulation bullshit built into the side of this thing, and then faking to play a game that was falsely stuck on the top of it. So, in order to prove that this thing wasn't a fake, Kennedy made a new version that was see-through so you could actually see the internals. And what he literally put in there was what looks like a graphics card. Essentially, it's a capture card for the PC, which allows you to be able to live stream and record video game footage from like PlayStation 4 all the way back to all the retro stuff that actually uses VG cables to hook up to your TV. The yellow, red, and white cords that used to be used until the more recent systems. Essentially, you put one of these fake cards in here, and you can tell side by side that it's fake. And he got completely bombasted to the point that he just gave up, and he didn't even make the money he wanted to make anyways, which is good because otherwise he's going to rip off a whole bunch of poor people who didn't have that kind of money to be given nothing. Not that it wouldn't be a surprise in some circles. But despite all this shady stuff going on, he still had a few friends, and they weren't totally sure why he was doing the things he was doing, because I don't think they actually had like a whole lot of direct contact with him. They just kind of knew him through podcasts and stuff. And one of these guys, particularly nice older gentleman named Willie, at least that's the name I've heard him called by, he has a YouTube channel called Arcade USA. Go ahead and look it up. It's actually been a pretty fun watch so far. And poor Willie here, he found a whole bunch of these Caleco arcades, in which partially the reason why I got the itch to pull this out is because that's actually as old as those arcades. If you've ever seen the Gremlins movies, you'll see the little blue Donkey Kong arcade that Stripe is playing on. Essentially one of those. Those have become collector's items, and there's a long chain of them. In particular, Willie managed to find 3 of them in really bad condition. Someone was apparently trying to pull the console apart to clean it or something, I don't know. But for whatever reason, while they were pulling it apart, they actually broke the chips inside of it. So what Willie did was, out of the kindness of his heart, he essentially, as best he could, hot-wired it so that he could direct wire actual wires to different parts of the chip, which were now broken and useless, and made direct contacts so that way the systems could actually play again. Now, given that these things could overheat if played too much and too often, and could fall apart, and he would need to pull it open and rewire it again whenever any given instance of that actually happens. But he decided to lend these off to Mike in order to allow him to look at these for a review. But told him, don't try to sell them or anything, they're really not in that good of condition. I like them back if you're done with them so I can take them around to different arcade shows and stuff. Find out weeks later, after complete silence, weeks, maybe even months later, after complete and total silence out of the clear blue, and just Mike never made contact back with him, all of a sudden his Willie's own friends contacted him about the fact that his arcades are suddenly up on sale on Mike's eBay. Which, by the way, the eBay is now completely vacant. There's nothing for sale up there anymore. Gee, I wonder why. Because he stole his friend's merchandise and tried to sell it on eBay. And tried to sell it as used like new. Which is the hugest of lies. Thankfully, though, there has been contact made with at least most of the people who bought these. One of them actually is not returning it because he just wanted the shell anyways, and I think it was the Donkey Kong he's using. And he's going to take it apart, and he's actually going to make I think it was something along the lines of a retro multi-system or something. Essentially, he's taking out the guts, putting in new ones, and going to make it into this whole new really cool thing. And it's going to be a nice little project, and that's all he wanted was at least a good case, and that's what he got out of it. So he's not too disappointed. Some of the others have been contacted, they have been refunded. They have given their arcade systems to Willie now, so they are getting returned to where they belong in the first bloody place. And there's been also a couple other things going on, including a fundraiser to give Willie money for all of the crazy hijinks he's had to suffer through, to which he's actually already donating it to a charity. So, despite how god-awful this is, at least most of this seems to be going in a relatively positive direction, so thank goodness for that. But, yeah, look out for the scum. Also look out for SoCal Games, or Gaming, on eBay, because that's Mike. Don't trust Mike. This man will literally steal the shirt off somebody's back so he can sell it on eBay, because he done fucked himself. This little scumbag can go rot in his little rock where he belongs and leave the rest of humanity, much less gaming, alone. And yeah, just so pissed at someone that would try and pull this kind of crap. So, that being said, thank goodness for Willie. I'm still watching some of his stuff. He's got some cool things going on. If you actually go to Arcade USA right now, the first thing that pops up is a Space Invaders video, funny enough. So, that's it for right now. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.